launch live. First time in nearly a decade, American astronauts on an American spacecraft
Stage 1
launching
pressing
from
for flight.
American soil.
15 seconds.
And here comes the countdown now.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon and NASA SpaceX. Godspeed, Bob and Doug.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal. M1D throttle down.
Throttle down call is because they're getting ready to the most aerodynamic stressful part of this flight. So they take the power down just slightly.
There is the
Listen for Max Q.
kilometers per hour mark. That's 621 miles per hour.
So the vehicle supersonic
M1D throttle up.
throttling up. There's Max Q, the max aerodynamic pressure peak, the most mechanical stress on the rocket. As I look up, and we can still see the orange glow, and I tell you what, it took 5 seconds for the vibration and sound from that liftoff to affect us here. You can still see it just screaming almost straight up, even though they're pointing a little bit downrange now.
Started that back engine chill.
Approaching rapidly 3,000 kilometers per hour. That is 1,864 miles per hour.
And Chris, while you see that plume
Chris,
coming
I
out of
can
the back
still see the,
expanding, that's because there's not as much atmospheric pressure on it, so that's why it expands out like that. And we are getting, that first stage engine is going to fire for about another 20 seconds, 23 seconds.
And Christian, that is really a step that we want to pay attention to, that separation of the first stage that will then return back to Earth.
Yeah, we're going to get very busy here in about 5 seconds. You're going to see MECO, the main engine cut off, and then you're going to see the separation. And we're standing by for that.
Eco.
Falcon stage separation.
It's losing speed.
So the main shut down, and you see separation there too. That
And
is the
back
first
ignition.
stage falling away.
Speeding back
So
up.
also
Now
now
the second
supporting
stage is
stage
going to fire.
11, leaving the stage 2. They're now approaching 7,000 kilometers per hour, which is 4,049 miles per hour.
Now the thing to watch now, Chris, is that first stage.
Stage 2
It's going to be
propulsion is nominal.
That means that's good news. That's the rocket that's still on the Dragon, is doing its job, moving these guys into an orbit that'll put about 200 kilometers below the space station. And you can actually see that second photo. It's great to see inside. There's the triple screen of the two astronauts. The Dragon and the Falcon are basically, actually it's the second stage now, are on autonomous power. But Chris, we really want to pay attention to that first stage. As Davenport says, it's a secondary mission, but it sure is cool to watch it land on that ship out in the Atlantic.
Quickly approaching 8,000 kilometers per hour, which is nearly 5,000 miles per hour. They are really moving. Bob and Doug appearing very, very cool, calm and collected in the Dragon capsule. Amazing to get that live shot of what they're experiencing. I want to bring in Mike Massimino. Mike, take us through what Bob and Doug are going through.
Stage 2 propulsion is still nominal.
Yeah, they are so well trained for this, Chris. They've had countless simulations, played every emergency possible, and they're just looking and looking and hoping and praying that everything's going well. It looks like it is. I know that first stage we're going to be excited to see that, but the world that Bob and Doug are living in is just making sure that that engine is continuing to burn, that they're still on the right trajectory. All the systems are looking good, and it looks like they are. As we see them just watching, that's probably a good sign. That means all the automatic sequences are working well. We don't hear too much chatter coming from the control center, from MCC. That's a good thing too.
Almost to 10,000.
And when you hear that word nominal,
Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
when you hear that word nominal coming, no, it's fine. When you hear that word nominal, that's always good. That's the NASA jargon for everything is A-OK. We're looking good, just like we expect. So we want to keep hearing that for a few more minutes and get those engines cut and get them in space safely.
And there's that 10,000 kilometers per hour threshold, which is just over 6,200 miles per hour. And the picture on the right, I have to keep reminding myself that that's a live shot. It looks like the greatest science fiction movie ever produced. It's just so fantastic that the launch was a go today and has been a success so far.
Crazy, because back in the day, 9 years ago, they lost
David Curley,
connection
what's
with them,
the
and now they
feeling
can see
like
them
on the
perfect.
ground? Are you seeing the first stage rocket at all coming back?
Probably due to FaceTime
Yeah,
and
you
Wi-Fi.
can see it. It's got about another 3 minutes until it'll do its entry burn, and that's
They
there
got
are
Wi-Fi.
9 Merlin
They're close to
rocket
the center.
engines on them.
Nominal trajectory.
They say everything is normal with their trajectory, meaning they're heading onto the right path to try and get on the effort to catch up to the space station. So you're seeing in the first stage, you can see those grid fins that you mentioned, Chris Jacobs, that will help guide it. But at 8:45, so plus 8:45, coming up in about 2 minutes, you'll see 3 of those 9 engines fire to slow it down. The first stage doesn't have any of that protection when it comes back into the atmosphere. So the way they overcome that is by firing the engines and slowing it down enough that when it re-enters the atmosphere, it won't burn up. And it'll be a 34-second burn of that entry stage of those 3 engines to bring us in. And seeing some of these pictures of Doug and Bob in the capsule is just remarkable. We haven't seen a lot of American
Stage 2
astronauts fly.
propulsion is still good.
And just to clarify, that picture on the left is the Stage 2 rocket propelling the Crew Dragon capsule. The picture on the right is actually the Stage 1 Falcon 9 rocket returning to Earth. So those are actually moving in opposite directions as we pass the 15,000 kilometers per hour mark, which is approaching 9,400 miles per hour.
That one's coming back.
You know, Chris, SpaceX would love to get this booster back. And as we mentioned earlier, they learn a lot when they get these rockets back and take a look at them. But it is seconding. That's the picture on your left. The second stage, as Massimino said, that's what you want to burn. You want that burn to go exactly as it should on the right trajectory. This was an instantaneous launch. They had to go at the right time. There's your start of your entry burn on the right. You're seeing it. It's a little bit early, but they're coming.
It goes slower. It's going faster.
That's
Falcon 9 rocket is
So this is the burn. This
came off the bottom of the rocket.
Yeah, this slows it down. This is going for about 35 seconds, as I mentioned, just to slow it down. And if you watch those grid fins, you can start to see them kind of move. And that's what keeps this, as we heard earlier in one of the pieces, lining a pencil, that's what keeps it north and south or up and down as it's coming down back into land. And it
just
is
as you
landing
said
on a
that,
drone
David, we
ship
saw
in the
those
Atlantic.
start to move. Nearly
So that
22,000
burn is over.
kilometers per
The next
hour.
thing we're going to see,
Terminal guidance.
we will see at 9:27
And back throttle step.
plus. Everything's good, they say. Those are the reports from Mission Control. So coming up in about a minute, we'll see the final burn. And as Davenport has told us before, you don't always get to see the landing because you got a camera that's getting shaken, and this is a rocket actually that's coming back to. Or you lost the picture. That's kind of what happens.
And there's the 25,000 kilometers per hour, which is 15,534 miles per hour. So again, continuing to accelerate as they make their way to
And
orbit.
back throttle step. And back shutdown.
There's the second stage engine cut off right there. And that will be
That's
jettisoned
good news,
soon
Chris.
as well.
That means that they've got their.
Supposed to land on that fucker?
Orbital insertion.
There they go.
God.
Launch escape system is disarmed.
That's great news. And that's even better news. So they're in the orbit they're supposed to be in. They have just de-armed the escape system. They are where they're supposed to be at the right time. And in a couple of minutes, we'll see separation of the Dragon and loss of that second stage. That's really good news. And Chris, you asked a little bit about the atmosphere down here. There were some people here, even though they didn't open the gates, who were applauding as that Falcon 9 took off and really rattled our chests.
And it looks like Falcon 9 has returned successfully to that drone ship. Just amazing, amazing technology that quickly, in under 10 minutes, that Falcon 9 rocket has